Good morning, everyone. I've done my watering and I started doing some cutting. After the storm the other day, this hibiscus had blown over while it was still kind of young, but it had blown over towards the shed back there, and so it wasn't in my way. But after the storm the other day, it was just all up in here, and I'd have to walk around and bend branches, and whenever it was damp would do and all that, and the puppies didn't like having to go around to the other set of steps. So anyway, last year I harvested, I have no idea, I think I ended up keeping a little over 3 pounds of hibiscus bloom for tea. And so I've got way more than I'm going to need, and so I cut it back out of my way, and you can still see all the stump down up under there and what a big bush it is. And then I have, I think it's around 13 or 14 of them planted around the yard, and then I've got 6 that I was going to put in the greenhouse. And the cuttings, last year I put the cuttings in 5-gallon buckets and set them in the greenhouse, and they kept blooming. And then I had some of them that even rooted in the spring and all. And there was some more of it here. And I was just going to do the video. I was very pleased that this is another female that I found on my papayas that is setting some little fruits. And I saw a third one somewhere. Now that I'm looking for it, I won't find the damn thing, but anyway. But those are the fruits that have set. And on the first one, and they were looking a little yellow, and I hit them with a little bit of fertilizer in the form of some coffee grounds and tea bags, and I've got more, and I thought about putting some potash on them, some ash I've saved out of the wood heater. I'm still hoping more will come out, but I'm also hoping they'll make a papaya before we get into cold weather, because I really don't plan on trying to move them. And the last few days, with the rains that we had from the storm last week, I have toadstools or mushrooms or whatever they are just coming up all over the yard. There used to be trees all in here. Originally my swing set was back over here, and lightning hit and killed both of the trees that the swing set was in, and I moved it. And so some of these are coming up from where there was a tree and the old oak root and everything in it. And I'm fixing to start cutting back some of the moringa also and start getting them cut down to where I can move them in the greenhouse. There's some nice bean pods, and I'd started looking on YouTube, as I believe is where I found the recipe for doing things with the seed pods, the drumsticks. And I had started looking one day, and I kind of, like I do often, my mind gets to wandering, and I got sidetracked and never did find a recipe for using the seed pods. And I have quite a few now, enough that I think I could do something with them if I can find a recipe. And getting a few figs from time to time. This is one that I had shared with a number of folks, and this was another one, the Desert King here. I think that one's an Antonio or something of that nature. It starts with an A, so if you've got one from me and it starts with an A, that's what they look like. They're what they call a white fig. They're real green, but I've had some on this one that got up as big as teacups. I'm tickled that I finally found out what the name of this one was, that it is a pink moonvine flower. And it is just very blessed to have things like that, the beauty of them. My neighbor had a pine tree cut down, and so I took time out from working on the yard, mostly just yesterday, and went and got some wood. And they had a basketball gourd hooked up, and so whenever I put the splitter to it, I had to be careful about the cutting it with the chainsaw because of metal banding and metal spikes and all that they had in it. But I'm tickled about getting some wood, though this is so green. Unless I really have to, I won't be using it until probably next year. And I've still got the oak over there that I've got to get cut down. And it's talking about hibiscus. That's another one of the hibiscus that's planted over there. That's in an old, I've found I plant a lot of things where I've burnt stumps out in years, and the old stump rotting out, and where I've burned it out and it's got the ash and all is really rich. And that's another one back up right there. That's a hibiscus and a stump where I took a bad oak tree out. But I've still got a little bit of wood, and I got to get it moved up to my bins up under my awning, and then start putting some wood back in here. The camellias are starting to show loads of bloom, or buds, I guess. This is usually the first one that has any that open on it, and I'd raked up to the gate there in a little bit, and I was going to get the chainsaw. Some of these bigger limbs, I'm going to start cutting some of this up for firewood. And still got a whole bunch more to clean. It seems like that's one bad thing about trees, is if you've got especially oak trees, or well, pine trees, about anything, when you down here where the hurricanes come through, you're going to be picking up limbs and raking leaves. And this is in the family with camellias, and it has this one is a peppermint, and it has a few seed on it, but I have never been able to, I've got some up, and there's a lot of them that have come up on their own, but they have just never taken off and grown as well as the ones that I have bought. And I've never had one to flower yet, so I don't know how they'll be as far as true to color or anything. And this one is a blue, or they called it a blue, and that's the seed. That's the first seed pod I found on one this year. And darn it, I dropped it, but let's see if I can find the seeds. But that's the way the seed pod looked, and I found two of the seeds. One of them had failed before, so no telling where it is in the trash. I'll have to look again and look a little closer and see if I can find some others. I'll put these up. They kind of feel a little light, and so sometimes they don't feel out and they're not good. Those that I have tried to plant and all that through the years, I've never had any luck with them. They just come up wild where the squirrels bury them, or where they are over kind of hid and the lawnmower doesn't get them. Another burned out tree, and another hibiscus, and like I say, I've got them planted all around, and some doing better than others. This was a curiosity. This is a cone from a magnolia, and I just think they're kind of interesting. Make one hell of a racket when you hit them with the lawnmower. Them and the green pine cones. This is off of a longleaf pine here. But that's the magnolia I had taken in. I love the smell of them, and back when my eyes was better and my nerves were steadier and all that, I used to shoot them out of the tree with a .22 and catch them before they hit the ground so the flower didn't get messed up. But I ain't that good at doing it no more. I catch those that's slow enough that I can reach up and cut them. And this one's planted here by the condensation from the deep well. Whenever it sweats, helps these plants up in here. And the vine is a Confederate jasmine, Confederate honeysuckle. I don't know which one I think it's a jasmine. But anyway, it has a little white flower that just smells the best. And red oleander that so much around oak trees and whatever's coming up all in them, and I just haven't got it all. I'd cut these back and then they sprouted back out. This is where the trailer's usually parked, and so before I put the trailer back over here, I'm going to try to get my butt over here and get this cleaned up. And right now I ain't getting a whole lot done making videos, so I'm going to try to post this and get on at it. This bed up in here used to have all kind of things in it, and some of it was a beautiful old-timey lavender chrysanthemum, and I took a few up and put them in pots over by the greenhouse, and they're blooming or got buds on them. And since all the rains and everything, I got a blessing of fire ants that I really wish I didn't have. Y'all have a blessed day, all.